starting to get interesting. We're going to merge two technologies together. So this is, if you've watched the DeepSeek install video, this is basically builds on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix Whisper with DeepSeek, and we're going to do some exciting stuff, or at least we can see how things get exciting. So we've got scenarios, all that maybe I've worked on in previous lives. So we could say maybe HR, they want to record interviews and then analyse them to make sure it's been fair on every candidate. I'm afraid it was a pilot icon I got, but pretend it's the police. Police may be interested in using bugs to listen in on the mafia or criminals or something like that. So rather than have an operator listening to a bug 24/7, they could just have the bugs recorded stuff and the computer sit and listen and analyse it and just bounce in if something's relevant. So saves a lot of policing. So it's actually got a useful thing. Person in the call centre, maybe you do sentiment analysis, which is listening to the phone call with a customer, and if they're happy, it's all good. But if the customer gets upset, maybe you want a supervisor to jump into the call. So you could do sentiment analysis on the call, and get the supervisor to save the customer before they go. Or we could have a prison guard that wants to listen in to all the phone calls the prisoners make and listen to see if they're using any code words, talking about locations, etc. So this is what we're thinking about, and it's actually the same solution for everything. So AWS, they've got translate and comprehend, or transcend and comprehend. Azure's got the speech stuff. Google Cloud has got speech to text, and then the Cloud Natural API language. So basically, we're going to turn the conversation from from audio to text. We're going to use Whisper on the Raspberry Pi, or in my case, I'm going to use a quarter of a MacBook Air. So I'm only 4 gig of RAM I'm allocating, and 2 small CPUs. And we're going to use DeepSeek just because that's what we used before. It's a bit verbose for what we really need, but it's going to educate you quite a lot about what we can do, and it's going to be interesting. I think you're going to find it a bit useful. So it's exactly the same as the DeepSeek video I did a few weeks ago, except this time we're going to add Whisper, and Whisper's from OpenAI. It's before the LLMs get really big, and before ChatGPT came out, or maybe ChatGPT 2 was out, but it was 3 was the famous one. Whisper came out before that, so it's a precursor. And if you use the tiny model, it's good. It can do English. If you use we're going to use small because it takes 2 gig of RAM, which we can fit into our 4 gig of RAM machine because we're going to be running DeepSeek at the same time, which again also fits in. So we can run both together. But if you go up to the larger or even bigger, it does dynamic translation of different languages. There's a couple of languages that maybe aren't included, but Facebook, or Meta as they're called now, have a model that's no language left behind, which basically can do very similar. But we're using the Whisper one because I could work out how to install it locally, which is what this is. The majority of this set is about. It's about being able to run things in a Raspberry Pi or a virtual machine locally, just to get up your learning. And obviously, it's slow in places, but you could imagine if you're doing this for a career, you can maybe use it in the cloud and bigger machines. But it's all good. So we've just got the one configuration file. It's slightly different from the DeepSeek one, but not much. So the sudo apt upgrade, that means patch the system. So previously we never bothered patching the system because the lifetime of the system is going to be less than an hour. However, because we're going to be compiling some Python, we needed to patch the Python. So we've just patched the whole box. This to run the machine, to build the machine from scratch, it takes between 10 and 20 minutes depending on your internet connection. So all the updates update all the Python libraries and other things. So ffmpeg, that installs that. That's a video codec. Very, very good. Pip is the Python package manager. It installs that. we're going to use the unzip command, so we've got to install that as well. The UFW disable just turns off the firewall. The stop and disable app armor, stop the security system for apps. The sed and the swap off, just turn the memory off. I would rather the machine crash when we run out of 4 gig rather than start paging to disk and everything like that. So the first unique command is this pip install get, and it's in the OpenAI instructions on how to install Whisper. So basically, it installs it and compiles it, and then so with the Whisper binary appears on our ARM machine. It's all really good. Just following that command with the prerequisites in place, it all just works. I wasn't sure about copyright, so I've just downloaded a file directly from the internet. It's JFK's Ich bin Berlin speech. I just took it off archive.org and wrote it into zip file. Then the next line unzips the zip file into the temp folder, and then the final line is Whisper running it, the small model, the one that takes 2 gig of RAM, and it's outputting it to our home directory, and it's the JFK speech. And then the next couple of lines are installing the llama, and the service file just installs deepseek, same as before. So it's based on the deepseek video. So if you see the deepseek video, we'll go cover it more in detail, and obviously I'll put it on the website when I get up to speed with this. So this is the box. It took about 20 minutes to boot up. Just in an LS, you can see it's actually put the JFK speech in their home folder. There's no cheating. The MP3, these text files have been generated, and we'll just cat the text file. And you can see that is the JFK speech. Again, I don't know about the copyright. So I'm going to run a few things. So just summarise the file. It's not very good in this use case, but deepseek is set to be quite verbose and tell you what it's doing. If we were a police or prison service, we would certainly be more interested in the locations, the organisations, and who's been mentioned. That's far more important. Whereas in a call centre or an HR thing, summarise is correct. So we do the summarise. It's maybe not the easiest thing for a speech for a computer to analyse, but it does all right. There's one hallucination that comes up. I think it's in the next bit, but yeah, you can see it. It's doing well. Computer's doing well. So this speech, as you know, was in the 60s. So that's good. So the hallucinations in the next one. So this is where I ask it, who is mentioned in the file. So this is what you do if you were looking for people of interest in a conversation. You know, because it could well be a conversation rather than a monologue. I've used the monologue because it's easier. But if you install this, try recording chats with your mates. It's really good fun. You can see what you're talking about. You can see who's saying what. It's really good fun to play with, and all we're doing is Whisper and deepseek. So there you go. 9/11's a hallucination. We know this is the 60s, so it can't possibly know about 9/11. It confidently answers it, and it's maybe not the most accurate, but it's accurate for who, which is the question. And obviously I've got deepseek just in the mode where it explains what it's doing, because you learn more that way. But if you were doing this in industry, you would probably set it to not show this, and then maybe have an extra algorithm to double check, a RAG thing just to check it's true. But we'll get there in the lessons on how to do the RAG checkup of factual checking to get the quality higher. So this is what locations that gets this one spot on. It gets the spot. I've replayed this before, so this is actually a playback of a video because I had my youngster making a lot of noise while I was doing it, so I've just redone it. But yeah, it gets all the locations right, and then for the final, I've done a sentiment analysis, which would be useful for how an interview went or how a call centre screen's going. I'm sure half of you are going to be going and listening to that speech now. So yeah, the sentiment analysis, that was quite interesting. But spot on. It was spot on. So normally you do sentiment analysis to say, is this a happy conversation or is the customer happy? But you know, it could be sad. In this case, it's very accurate. Better at describing it than I would have been. But hopefully this gets you excited about learning AI, how powerful it is when you're just mixing essentially a text to or a speech to text, but it also does translation, so you can do foreign speech to English as well. So you're just doing a speech to text and then a simple bit of analysis with a small deepseek model. If we use a larger model, we'll get more accurate results. But yeah, I quite enjoyed setting up this demo. So there you go. It's negative with a strong emphasis of criticism in the Communist Party. So I really enjoyed doing this lesson. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you very much for your time and for watching any of the videos I've created. Hopefully they join together quite rapidly and get more exciting, like this is the first one that's built on another one. So thank you very much.